Imagine your favorite Nintendo game. Now, imagine it being remade from the ground up. That's a big jump. Right now, we'll discuss a handful of Nintendo remakes, ranging games from the Super Nintendo all the way up to the Switch. Now, keep in mind, this isn't every Nintendo remake ever made, but this is just a small handful that I would like to discuss. So I hope you enjoy this deep dive on Nintendo remakes. Nicer place to start than Mario All-Stars on the Super Nintendo. This was a remake of Bros. 1, 2, 3, The Lost Levels, and in some versions, World to a certain extent. So let's take a little bit of a dive on what makes this remake so different than the old versions. Of course, the first thing you see is the update to the graphics, which they all got in a 16-bit update in both graphics and sound. The controls all got an update too, so all four games control like World, if that makes sense. So it could feel a little different to some players. Bros 2, and you can see each game in the collection gets more and more up to date, more and more lush with its visuals, and it just looks so nice. And this game came out in 1993, so this was one of the first Nintendo remakes that I know of to do this. Now let's talk about a forgotten Mario remake, in my opinion, Mario 64 DS. This game came out in 2004, on the DS. It was a full-blown remake of the classic N64 game, but it seems to be forgotten by most people. And I would love to briefly touch on some of the differences and new stuff put into this well-made remake. New stuff would be 3 different new characters to play as, I should say, being Luigi, Yoshi, and Wario. They each have their own play styles. Like Luigi has his high jump, and Wario has his strength, and Yoshi could eat stuff. On top of that, there's over, I believe, 30 new stars or so put in the game, so that makes it a whopping 150. But in my opinion, what brings this game down is the controls, because you have to control a 3D game with the D-pad, and that just feels awful. Still a great try by Nintendo, and for a game that came out in 2004 on a DS, it's actually quite impressive. Now let's jump from the Zelda franchise, starting with OT with 3D. Now, this game came out in 2011 on the 3DS, of course, and like all other Nintendo remakes, they redid all the look and the feel of the game, but they kept a lot of the old stuff intact, like speedrun glitches, from what I heard. That's super cool. So they kept the old game preserved in a way. Just look at Link here. I mean, he looks like he just popped off the pages of a Nintendo magazine or the game's key art or something. He looks great, and the environments in the world you explore do the exact same thing. It's what Nintendo visioned for the game way back in 1998, and that's just great. But it's still not my preferred way to play this classic game. I just prefer the N64 look, but a great remake nonetheless. And if you want a faithful remake, this is the way to go. Now, a not so faithful Zelda remake, in my opinion, would be Majora's Mask 3D. This remake took a lot of the N64 game and just made some questionable design choices. Like, they made the game more bright, and me, when I think of this game, I think of a dark land you explore. I mean, it's a dark game, and they just made it so bright. They changed a lot of the controls to some of the transformation mask, and it just doesn't feel like the same game. So this is a game where I for sure prefer the classic N64 game. If you want the best Zelda remake, in my opinion, remaster, you play the HD version of Wind Waker on the Wii U. This game just looks so crisp and new, and they fixed a lot of the game's problems, like they put the swift sail so you sail faster. They cut down on the Triforce hunt, so to make that a lot faster too, which I personally didn't mind the Triforce hunt, but I see why they went back and changed it. This is how you do a remake though. You fix a lot of the game's core problems, but don't change too much like Majora's Mask remake, but you just touch it up a little bit. Okay, so this next one might be a little bit of a cheat, but to me this will always be a Nintendo game, because I first played it on the GameCube, which is SpongeBob BFEV, and I first played the remake on Switch. So to me it's more of a Nintendo game, but you see how lush the new game's graphics look, but in this game's case, I actually prefer the old graphics, like 100%. I do, but the remake still looks great. But I actually real quick want to compare the old game to the new one. This is the GameCube game, and I still prefer the old graphics. So just because something's on new hardware doesn't mean it always beats out the old one. And I feel like a lot of people just look at a new game, oh, it beats the old one. No, because I still prefer to speedrun the old game, because they took out and patched out a lot of the tricks you could do in the remake, and it's just not as good in my opinion. So I still highly recommend the original SpongeBob on GameCube or Xbox, but I prefer GameCube. And now let's look at a Nintendo remake that shocked the world. Metroid Prime remastered on the Nintendo Switch. Now this game looks like a game that just came out. It's still using the GameCube source code. They just retouched up everything you could possibly think of. So it looks like a brand new game, but it's still using the old source code from 2002. So this just came out of left field last year, and it's just amazing. And they have all the control schemes you could hope for, from Wii to GameCube to Switch controls. So whichever you prefer, this game's got you in spades. It's got you covered. Now for one of my least favorite remakes, the Luigi's Mansion remake on the 3DS. I mean, what's more has been said. I mean, this should have been a Switch game. Came out in 2018, and it just makes no sense why it wasn't on the Switch. But I figured I'd talk about it right now, because it's one of my favorite games of all time. So let's tackle this. I mean, it looks like an improvement, but it's not. It just looks bad. The GameCube game had a distinct look, a darker tone, and just the way the game controls it feels like trying to reel in a fish without feedback, and it just feels awful. So they should have just remade this for the Switch. I don't know why they didn't. Maybe one day it would get the HD treatment Mansion 1 deserves. Now, I could talk about a lot more Nintendo remakes. I have a lot to say, and I might make a part 2, but I just want to keep this brief. I mean, this wasn't a full review on each game. This was just a brief touch upon what I feel about these remakes. And I like most of them, but some could be just real stinkers, I guess. So I hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe for more stuff.